Hi family, we are going to do an episode on some of the top tools that I have learned in my own recovery the hard way, because that's the only way I ever learn, and anything I've ever let go of has had my claw marks all over it, just like any other good addict. Or, well, pretty much. I mean, we all live in a world where we hang on to everything we can right now, don't we? So anyway, I just put together some really loose notes, because that's what I do. I don't like to do script unless I'm doing spoken word, and then I'm not on camera. So I'm going to share with you some ideas, tools, suggestions that came off the top of my head when I started thinking about the tools that I use in recovery. And when I'm talking about that, I'm not just talking about, the easy days, because, I mean, most of mine are not easy. They've gotten smoother, certainly not easier. However, there are some profoundly powerful tools that we can use. Now, having said that, every tool is not for every person. I don't represent any recovery program. I'm not any big kahuna in any recovery program. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm just going to speak to you from my heart and tell you what has worked for me. And I've been through some pretty intensive stuff, so it's 25 plus years now, and I haven't picked up a drink of alcohol. So, having gone through the death of my son, I was 4 years sober when he died. And there's been just ever so much more. Lost my business. Everything went. It all went. So anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about some tools that you can use. The first one that I'll share is that I have found being of service. In other words, getting out of my own head, certainly not my idea, but there is, for whatever reason, I don't know why the law is the way it is, but there's a spiritual law that we have to be of service. Those of us who are of this addictive nature, it is a very selfish by its very nature, this dis-ease, right? Dis-ease. It's the best visual way I know how to share that. So we need to be out of ourselves. Otherwise, we just get caught up in this hurricane. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just paralyzes us. And so one of the most effective ways out of that is to be of service. So recently, Valentine's Day, that was the week of my son's birthday. And I mean, I'm old enough now that there's all kinds of sacred dates throughout the year, right? Especially if you're an old philosopher like me. And so I made these gargantuan cookies and took a couple of days. I mean, I made a few batches and sent some out to my brother out west and to my niece and nephew and their family down in Texas, and delivered some locally here to some elderly folks. And then yesterday, as I record this, my friend Colleen invited me to go to Hobby Lobby. We just, a week ago, they opened up this brand new Hobby Lobby. And Colleen said, "You want to go?" I said, "Yeah, let's go." Oh my gosh, I got the most cutest little bicycle metal Art Deco for the stoop out here on the porch. Spring is coming, as I speak. We just hit spring a few days ago. And then these little metal half buckets. I'll show you a picture that I'm going to put either real or fake potted plants in. I don't know. I haven't decided. So that's one of the first things that I do. And I do enjoy making, cookies and cooking. I've had a friend who recently wasn't feeling well, and so I made her a cheesy hash brown casserole, she and her husband. So that's just a great way to not only extend goodwill, which is just good business, but it's a wonderful way to feel a sense of purpose and belonging. So that is definitely a tool that I have found to be primary to my own recovery toolbox. Let them go sooner than later. You know, that's a lot easier said than done. And I know this because it's taken me years, literally decades, to get to this point. A brutal truth. And I'm just going to share it with you because I wish someone had just said it to me way back when. I don't know that I would have believed it either. So I guess we all have to come to our own truth. A brutal truth is, look, they simply do not care. Now, I'll talk more about why some of them don't care. Some of them, my daughter among them, are being trained by Vulture therapists. This is a term that I coined, Vulture therapy. It's real. Anybody who's been in my space for 12 minutes knows that I am all about good therapy. I have the most amazing therapist he's been I haven't seen him again for a little while now, but he's been my rock. He's one of my primary sources. But there's also an ever more increasing number with the advent of social media and the fame that's come along with one Vulture therapist in particular, who was featured on Oprah in November of 2025 is when that episode was uploaded to YouTube, and I'll address that more. I had actually promised to do that, and I haven't forgotten that promise, but my son's story had to come first. I've just released that, and so now I will be finishing up what I started, which is a massive project on this no contact BS, and that's what it is. And yes, it is a trend. I don't care what the experts are telling you. I just don't really care. Having come from this background of working with university professors and the higher education folks, who many of them, again, just like many good therapists, you know, there's just so much to be learned and enjoyed. However, there's also this fraction that are not healthy. I don't want to get off track, so I'll just keep it at this. You know, I know, because I'm a woman, I'm very self-aware, having spent 25 plus years in recovery working on that. I'm very self-aware, and so I know when something feels off. And let's call it what it is. At the macro level, which is the national level, we all know that everything is way off. I mean, we all know it. We just... Common sense tells you that, right? You can walk down the aisles at, I don't know, I say Walmart just because it's a handy thing to say, but the massive aisle, an entire aisle of toilet paper and paper towels. And what do you see over and over and over again? 6 rolls equals 48 rolls. 12 rolls equals 96 rolls. We all know that that is bullshit. We know it, but we're just supposed to pretend that we don't. All of us women, we knew when the boxes got smaller in the grocery stores and the cans got smaller, but what can we do about it, right? But that's all the gaslighting. And it's systemic, you guys. It's everywhere, which then seeps way down into the micro level. So you just kind of have to find these spaces that you can get away from that poison. And I'm fortunate in that I'm retired now, because it is very difficult to do when you're out there in that rat race. It's even more challenging. Truly, had I known then what I absolutely know for certain now, which is that I am a stranger to my grandchildren. The memories that we shared when they were younger and all the pictures that I have everywhere, those are gone. Those kids are grown up pretty much. One of them, Scott, just has her own baby, my first great-grandchild, which I'm not allowed to be any part of. And my grandson, who, God love him, a couple times this past year, we've corresponded via social media on something he responded to. There's no relationship, you see. And in my youngest, I never even met her until she was 5 years old. And I only got to be with her for a few years. And it's all gone, you see. It's all gone. And we don't want to... We can't face that. How does a grandmother, That's the destruction of your identity. However, my identity was destroyed, whether I realized it or not, whether I wanted it to change or not, whatever I tried, whatever I did, it did not matter. Nothing I did changed the end permanently. 3 times my daughter came back into my life in crisis mode. And 3 times she went back out of my life and took my grandbabies with her once she was back on stable ground. And the 4th time it happened, I just couldn't participate. That's another episode. When there's no purpose or structure or focus, you just get lost in the ocean of insanity. So letting go, being able to let go, it's vital. I started to say what I would change. I always had these amazing, oh my God, amazing. 2 of them I think are going to make it for my spring get together in April. The girls get together, and 2 of them are going to be able to make it. These are 2 young women who I watched grow up, who absolutely loved and adored me and never ever once treated me with disrespect or disregard or cruelty ever. And so I could have focused more of my time on them and their families. That's not natural to us because it wasn't supposed to happen, but it did happen. And I sit here alone with all my pictures and no family. So there's the cautionary tale for those of you just getting into this or having been in it for a few years. Unless the foundation, straight up, whatever the issue is, unless the foundation changes, and that's what happened that night. When that phone rang that night for the 4th time, I couldn't answer the phone. If somebody had told me at one point that I would ever not answer the phone for a child of mine, I'd have lost every dime I ever hoped to make. But I couldn't, because I knew we were going to go down that same exact path. Because the foundation had not been rebuilt, just the pretty house on top. So enough about that. Bonus family is amazing. I've got some pretty amazing, phenomenal bonus family that loves me and gives me a sense of purpose and doesn't treat me with, well. Number 3, keep one central intimate friend close to the vest. This person does not need to be a lifelong connection. More often than not, it isn't. They're a sounding board. So in recovery, in formal programs of recovery, it is strongly suggested, like it is suggested that you pull the ripcord when you jump out of an airplane on your parachute, right? We suggest you pull the ripcord. It's suggested that you get what's called a sponsor. I never liked that word. I called them a mentor. That was just, I'm a word person, and I always liked the idea of mentor. I don't want anybody sponsoring me. Anyway, it took me 5 months when I got into the program to get one, because nobody was going to tell me what to do. But I did find her, and she was amazing. She knew there's this common theme, or was a common theme, because it had always been that way. Throughout the years in official recovery for Alcoholics Anonymous, where all those programs began, they were men, and just men for a long time. And those men were bottom of the barrel drunks, right? So brown baggers or whatever. So as time has gone on, alcoholism, we don't have to be that far down, although many of us do get there, in order to get help. And we don't have to be beat on all the time. And Sharon knew that. She knew if she'd have tried to beat on me, I would have run. I mean, metaphorically, that may work for some people, men. I don't know of any woman that I've ever known that it's worked for, because we're beat on already, Some of us physically, some mentally, certainly financially. So as you grow and as you add more recovery tools to your personal toolbox, you don't necessarily keep that same person. I mean, the idea is to grow. Bill W., who was the founder of AA, said it himself. AA is a spiritual kindergarten. Now, kindergarten is fun, but I don't want to live there. And for some people, it is a way of life. Sharon said that to me. She put it actually quite beautifully. She said, for some, it is a way of life. They make it their way of life. But for most others, it's a way back to life. And I thought that was really appropriate. Throughout the years, I grew from Sharon, who now is long passed on. I have different spiritual advisors. When I go into some sort of crisis mode or something I have to give great thought to and reflection on, I try to seek outside counsel from 3 sources. But I always try to have one person, and it doesn't always have to be the same person because one person isn't always available, which is why it's a good idea to have 3 strong connections. But I like to have one person that I can bounce things off of, because it's just foolish not to seek outside counsel. Duh. Okay. Number 4. Oh, hate is always heavy. Always. I have come to learn in the last few years in particular, it is just so overwhelmingly heavy and filled with, there's energy you have to use to keep it up and to fuel it and build it and keep it going. And it just is always so dark and there's never any reprieve from it. And it's just exhausting. So when I started the channel, and it started out as a different channel name, I just a week or so ago changed it to the Daughter Wound Project, which was much more apropos to the mission we have. Speaking the language of love is something I am determined to do on the channel. I have not always been 100% successful, but I have done a pretty damn fine job of it, all things considered. So, as much as possible, really do try not to feed the hate. There's a difference, a world of difference between grief and hate, right? Grief and blame. Now, we're not robots, and so it takes a while sometimes to get through the arc of the whole thing. And just get off your back, because, if you're making progress, that's what counts. So yeah, seek counsel outside of yourself. Continuing education. I've got that as outside counsel too. I remember one time Jess walked into my daughter walked into my bedroom. I don't know, she was like 12 maybe. She goes, "Mother, I would really like to read a book. Do you have anything that is not self-help?" So continuing education of some sort, right? I mean, just keep learning, because otherwise you get stagnant. Nobody is fun to hang out with when they're stuck, like they choose to stay there. Number 6, work the steps daily. Now, listen, for normies, right, you probably don't need to listen. Well, I don't know, maybe, probably should. Well, you wouldn't be on this channel if you... Anyway, so the steps, the 12 steps of recovery, right? So they started out with Alcoholics Anonymous. That was the original recovery program, and now there's a gazillion of them, but they all work off the same 12 steps. And it is not rocket science. Let me demystify it for you. In each one of those steps is embedded a principle of living, which normies learn, which the rest of us have issues with. So like there's honesty, right? I mean, honesty is just vital to recovery. You cannot, I cannot change what I don't acknowledge, and acknowledge authentically. And then service, right? That's at the other end of the 12 steps. So in each of the 12 steps, there are these principles for living. Embracing those principles, it makes you just a good, decent human being, right? Number 7, spirituality, not religion, is where the journey of the empath is to be found. Look, religion is the answer for a lot of people. 2 of my siblings are absolute devout Catholics, and they converted. They didn't start off that way. They converted to Catholicism, and frankly, I believe that it helped save each of their sanity, if not their lives. Truly. So when I say this, I am speaking about there's so much judgment to be found in religion. And yes, I'm going to choose my words carefully, but I'm still going to speak my truth. Religion is about control. It is about controlling the masses. I don't do religion. I would rather see a sermon than hear one any day. Spirituality is nothing to do with religion. It is entirely different. Spirituality is to be found inside, and it's about the single person. It's not about the group, the collective. It's amazing when you get among spiritual beings. And I have found that on rare occasions in collections of people who have gathered for religious services. One was last fall. I was going down a county highway here and I heard the most beautiful, oh my gosh, I stopped my car. And it was an outside revival service. And they were singing outside in nature. That got my attention. I find God in nature. That's where I find my higher power. Nature and babies. That's where it's the strongest for me. And for me, God is love. It's just that simple. I don't complicate it. God is love. It says so over and over and over again in every single spiritual text. It's not complicated. Okay, number 8, look at things with a fresh, new eye perspective. It's the magic of the young. Oh my gosh, it started driving me just over the wall nuts that in my Facebook social media world, it's just so sedate. I don't know. There and I guess on Instagram, they all just want to talk about the prettiness of life and recipes and trips and, you know, it's like, oh no, don't bother me with that other stuff. But then I went to Threads, and that's where the young people are. Oh, it's so different there. There is such an amazing energy there. There's this, it's a vibrant, it pulse. It's amazing. So, you know, I love a mix of the two. I do. I don't hang out a lot with the people on Facebook. I'm pretty fed up with most of them, frankly. They're just, I think, like putting themselves out to pasture to die. Did I say that out loud? Oh yeah, I guess I did. Number 9, say yes to nothing but what's on your yearly intentions. So every year, for the last several years, I have done what's called a mind map, right? And it's yearly intentions, not goals. I do intentions. Again, different word, works for me. And I fill out a mind map. It generally takes me about 2 weeks from start to finish. I don't rush it. It just kind of all flows out, free thought. And it is absolutely astonishing to me how when I do that, at the end of the year, at how much I'd accomplished. It wasn't like, it's almost like your mind registers it. Because your mind is a computer, right? So anyhow, doing that, setting those intentions. And you can do that in different ways if you have one gargantuan project. So like my YouTube channel, which I was launching, I did a mind map just for that because it's massive. It gives you something to always work toward. And especially as we age, we need that. I mean, come on, you guys. Just how much gardening can we do? One of the stories I love to tell is my sponsor, Sharon. She was very, very good with me. And this particular day that we were working together, I was just being ornery and short-tempered. And she said something about sitting on that pity pot, and she said it with a smile. And I looked at her and I put my hands on my hips and I said, I will sit on this pity pot as long as I want to, but I will flush when I'm done. Oh my God. She absolutely lost it. She did. She laughed so hard. She started using that in meetings. We laughed about it for the longest time. Listen, you just sit on that pity pot. When stuff goes down and it's big, what, we're just going to pass it on and move on? No. Do you know they used to put a black sash around the arm and they would wear it for a year after someone had died and they were grieving? That was to let people know they were grieving. Do you understand? We can't just, in this society of everything going. I mean, it's astonishing what comes at us, the amount of information, and we're just supposed to keep going. It's no wonder the rate of suicide is through the roof. It's no wonder people are stressing out at ever increasing rates. The United States of America is a drugged country because we can't stand what's going on. We take a lot of prescriptions, you guys. How else are we going to deal with it, right? So sitting on the pity pot is perfectly fine. Now, I will tell you that as you work your recovery program, and the longer you do this, the more you will come to realize you don't want to sit there very long because it really gets to stink. And it stinks more and more and more, sooner and sooner and sooner, the better you get. And you'll understand that once you start doing this. It's like a foreign language. Sometimes you just don't get it till you get it. So on holidays and sacred days, those days that are particularly difficult, right? And I have, like I said, the older you get, the more of those you get because you lose people and all that. So on those days, focus as much as possible on being of service outside of yourself as possible. If that means baking those cookies, or going and visiting someone, making a phone call, doing it video chat, so that you have to actually look at the person. We don't do a lot of looking into one another's eyes anymore, do we? We really do not. Everybody's on their video phones or video phone. Listen to me. Yeah, I'm old. So the last thing I'm going to share with you is that none of these are going to work sometimes. Yup, it's true. Sorry. It's just true. Sometimes you're going to feel like crap. Sometimes it just is going to suck so effing bad. And in those moments, the only thing that you can do is get inside your ear my voice that says to you, this too shall pass. The only thing sometimes that helps, and it's not really the right word even, but that sustains us is knowing. And you have to get to this knowing that this too shall pass. Because it does pass, you see. It has to. The only way it cannot pass is if you do what my son did and take your own life. Then it can't pass. Thanks for listening.